The plagues of Egypt. The Lord said to Moses, "Go to the Pharaoh in the morning when he is at the river's edge, and take your rod in your hand. Say to him, 'The Lord said to let his people go, but you have not yet obeyed. So I will show you a sign so that you will know that he is the Lord. I shall strike the water in the Nile with this rod, and the water will become blood, and all the fish will die, and the people will no longer be able to drink the water.'" So Moses went and did what the Lord said. All the water in the Nile became blood, and the people could not drink it, and they had to dig wells to get drinking water. After 7 days the Lord said to Moses, "Go to the Pharaoh again, and tell him if he refuses to let the people go, I shall cause a plague of frogs." Moses did so, and still the Pharaoh refused. So frogs appeared and covered the land of Egypt. They went into houses, and into bedrooms, and even into the beds of the people. They got into ovens and into cooking dishes, and the people and all their servants were covered with frogs. Then the Pharaoh called for Moses and said, "Tell your Lord to take away the frogs, and I will let the people go." So the next day the frogs in the houses and kitchens and gardens all died. The people piled them in heaps, and the whole country stank. But when the Pharaoh saw that the frogs were gone, his heart became hard again. He would not let the people go as he had promised. So the Lord said, "Lift up the rod and strike the dust of the earth, and the dust will become lice." And the lice covered all the men and beasts of the land, but still the Pharaoh's heart remained hard. So the Lord sent a plague of flies, and swarms of flies filled the houses and fields of the Egyptians. Then the Pharaoh promised to let the people of Israel go. But after the Lord had removed the flies, the Pharaoh again refused to let them go. So the Lord caused a disease to spread through Egypt, and this disease attacked the animals of the Egyptians, and killed their horses and camels, their asses and sheep. But the Pharaoh's heart remained hard. Next the Lord said to Moses, "Take handfuls of ashes and throw them into the air, and the ashes shall blow over Egypt like a fine dust, and wherever they touch men or beasts, they shall cause them to break out in boils." And Moses stood before the Pharaoh and threw ashes into the air, and when they settled on men and beasts, they caused boils which were very painful. And even the Pharaoh's magicians were covered with boils. But still the Pharaoh did not let the people go. So the Lord caused hail to fall on the land of Egypt, and the hail rained down so fiercely it killed men and beasts and trees and plants in the fields. Then the Pharaoh promised to let the people go, but when the hail was stopped, his heart became hard again. The Lord said to Moses, "Stretch out your rod over the land of Egypt, and I shall cause locusts to come and eat every plant in the land that is left after the hail." So Moses did so, and the Lord caused an east wind to blow. The locusts came on the wind, and they were so thick that the sky became as black as night. They ate all the plants in the land and all the fruit, and there was not a blade of grass left in all of Egypt. Then the Pharaoh called for Moses in haste and said, "Have your God remove this death from our land, I beg you." And Moses did so. But still the Pharaoh's heart remained hard. So the Lord caused it to remain dark in Egypt for 3 days. The sun did not shine, and people were no longer able to see each other. And at the end of 3 days, the Pharaoh still did not let the people go. But he said to Moses, "Get away from my sight. I never want to see you again. And if I see your face again, I shall kill you." And Moses said, "As you say, I will see you no more." Then the Lord said to Moses, "I will send one more plague, and after this plague the Pharaoh will let the people go." So about midnight the Lord went out through the land of Egypt, and he caused all the firstborn in Egypt to die, from the firstborn child of the Pharaoh down to the firstborn child of the lowest maidservant. And even the firstborn of the cattle died. Only the firstborn of the Hebrews did not die, for the Lord passed over them. Then much crying was heard in Egypt, for in every Egyptian house there was one who was dead. The Pharaoh rose in the middle of the night, and he sent for Moses in haste, and he said to Moses, "Go quickly. Take your people and all your animals and leave Egypt at once. Go and serve your God as you wish. For he feared that all the Egyptians would soon be dead. So the people of Israel quickly gathered together all their belongings and their animals, and they left in haste. There were about 600,000 of them, and they had been in Egypt for 430 years. They went on foot, and thus the Lord brought the people of Israel out of the land of Egypt.